Henry was in his first year at the university, when I first saw Gabriella. Great acquaintance in another way, and you will not call, like signs of fate. Henry returning home from university. Today he had to go to the store for bread that Mom asked for. More morning a young man walked his usual way, which returned every day. He planned to go to a store near his house, but already approaching your store, it's like someone ordered one and for some reason he turned around and went to the next one they were in, who walked every day. Distance between them was small and Henry didn't even notice. How did you end up in a different place? There, as if on the machine he took bread and went to the cashier. Before there was a girl, she had very beautiful hair, they shone so brightly. Having settled for purchase, he followed this girl into the street. Everything is in a fog. He crossed the road, she kept walking ahead. Woke up only then, when he heard the creak of the wheels and noticed a car flying on them. Boy grabbed the girl and pushed her forward. And they ended up on the sidewalk together. Young woman was very frightened. She sat on the ground and did not understand what happened. Only after a couple of minutes, she began to realize that she almost ended her life under the wheels of this car, which flew past them at breakneck speed. Thank you to you, you saved my life, the girl said in a trembling voice. Yes, what do you? I didn't do anything. Henry began to make excuses. Well, how not done pushed out me, you can say, pushed out from under the wheels of this crazy car. Yes, no, everything was not so scary, how do you tell? Henry was a modest young man and did not like, when he was praised. I have to thank you somehow, said the girl, brushing dirt off pants. Yes, I don't need no thanks. Let's go to the cafe. I will treat you to a cup of coffee. I insisted, and rejections are not accepted. Cold, we spoke. Henry followed the girl, who purposefully went to the cafe. Wait, what is your name? Asked Henry, catching up with the girl. My name is Gabriella, and you are Henry. Young people sat down in a cafe ordering a cup of coffee. They started talking. As it is seen, what Gabriella has not quite recovered from the shock, which she has recently experienced. Her hands were trembling and there was incoherent speech. You can't even imagine how scared I was. More precisely, I got scared when I was on the ground, and on the road everything happened so fast that I didn't understand anything. Now full of idiots on the roads, so you have to be very careful. Yes, you're right, Gabriella, let's not piss me off. To me seems I'm not that old, Henry laughed. Fine, I say. They sat and chatted for a long time, discussing everything. Henry from the story Gabriella understood that she is studying to be a veterinarian, young man. It all flew out of my head that Mom asked me to buy him bread and bring it at 5 o'clock, when Father comes to dinner. Henry, I took my phone out of my pocket and saw that he was broken. Maybe hit the asphalt at the time of the fall. Boy frowned and put it back. Cold, Henry, to have a lot of fun, but I need to go home. Let's accompany you, to make sure nothing happens, the guy smiled. I would love to, but my young man has already written to me and soon he will call for me. Fine, I understood you, Henry said sadly. They left the cafe and began to wait for the young man Gabriella, who arrived in just 15 minutes. Gabriella said goodbye to him and got into the car. After as Henry said goodbye to Gabriella, he went home. My heart felt a bit sad. Gabriella was such a wonderful girl, and he liked her so much. It's a pity that she already has a young man named Henry. Never did he think that he might like such a girl. Gabriella really was wonderful. Golden hair almost to the waist, bright green eyes, which immediately sunk into the soul of Henry. Clever, beautiful, and just interesting, that's the impression she gave herself. Henry went home, put the bread on the bedside table, and began to undress. Son, where have you been all this time? I called you so many times. What's wrong with your phone? Mother, I have crashed, I almost hit the car. Yes, how can this be in broad daylight? Mother started to get nervous. Well, don't know, runs like a gorilla. I am walking down the crosswalk. Henry told his mom, how did you meet a wonderful girl? Told about that she has a boyfriend, and he liked her so much. Son, but don't be upset, there will be a holiday on your street. Now she was the last one to hit you on the pogo. Such a million girls, you just don't know anyone yet. No, Mom, you do not understand. That is so wonderful, beautiful. To me, it even seems that it's love at first sight. It's a pity that is not mutual, the boy sighed heavily. 6 months have passed since then. Henry tried to forget Gabriella, but he didn't get anything. He went to school, where just sat and thought about her. Academic performance dropped a lot, but one day his life changed. Henry was invited to a birthday party by one of his classmates. Young man did not know for a long time what she would answer, but finally agreed. He thought for a long time just because he knew very well, Maria, the young woman who invited him, had a crush on him for a long time, but only he would reciprocate. Not could not want, just don't give out any hope. Henry perfectly understood, if he doesn't agree to go to her birthday party now, that hurts her even more. That's why nothing else, how to agree, he had no choice. Friday a young man bought a gift and went to Maria's birthday. At home I already heard the merriment and noise. He rang the doorbell. He immediately opened it, but to his surprise the door was opened by the same Gabriella. Hello, Gabriella. What are you doing here? Asked Henry, without entering the apartment. I came here for my friend's birthday. What are you doing here? I also came for my birthday, this is my roommate. Nothing, Maria herself, study with you. But before it happened, Henry said, confused. What, you are standing on the threshold? Activities quicker, you'll miss the whole party. Young man came in and slowly began to undress. Gabriella did not take his eyes off, who now and then danced and sang along with other singers. Girl music played loudly, and it was simply impossible to talk in this apartment. Henry sits modestly at the table, when he can. Gabriella, why are you so sad? Screaming girl, trying to drown out the noise. Yes, don't know, I just don't really like these noisy parties. It's clear. Where is your boyfriend? Why are you today without him? We broke up not too long ago. Why did you break up? Well, don't know, maybe, didn't get along. Yes, I don't really regret. Life was terrible with him. I threw myself, but I think that I left him. Sadly. After talking a little to Henry, Gabriella again ran away to dance for Henry. This party was agonizingly long, and here Gabriella vice versa. She enjoyed the moment. Henry looked at that, how beautiful she dances, he liked those moves, how beautifully the hair shimmered in the light of color music. After that, everyone started to go home. Henry asked Gabriella, does she want for him and me to spend, to which the girl graciously agreed. Young people decided not to go home. They went down to the river and walked along the embankment. Gabriella told her life, she was always laughing and smiling. Henry just listened and slowly fell in love with her even more. I've been thinking here. Only don't laugh at my thoughts. Maybe you and I met not by chance. This, what are you getting at? Suddenly it's fate, and you and I are like small specks of dust in this universe that attract each other. The girl froze for a second, and then laughed. Laptop 2 comparison. To me sometimes it seems that you are from some past century, but I asked you not to laugh. Sorry, please. Cold drove. Gabriella and Henry had so much fun that he just did not notice the time, though the young man heard when his mother called him. He did not pick up the phone, wanted to appear adult and independent. After he took Gabriella home, and at parting she even kissed him on the cheek. Young woman ran home, Henry, and remained standing near the entrance. To the young it seemed to the man that the ground is slipping from under his feet. He was so happy. Home arrived very quickly, though the distance was great, but in his thoughts he did not notice this path. At home his mother used to read him as a child, son, you time video, yes I couldn't sleep until you come back. Ma'am, as far as possible to me already 22 years old, I'm old enough, no need to be so nervous about me. By they were arguing, father woke up, who went into the room and entered into a conversation in Galena. But how many times have I told you, no need to follow him, he's a grown man and he'll take care of himself. But how long will it last? Thanks, fine though you understand me. Oh, Mom, stop counting me, like I'm 5 years old, I am tired and want to sleep. Henry didn't plan to hear from your mother, he just went to his room. Before sleep, he managed to write a message to Gabriella, where I wished her good night, but not waiting for an answer, fell asleep. On the next day, she called him and offered to go to a cafe. They constantly walked a lot and often talked. Henry I had to listen to stories from Gabriella's past life. We're bringing it down, that was the name of her ex-boyfriend. Turns out, they and Henry rented an apartment and lived together. Gabriella made such a life, and here Pedro constantly stayed somewhere and did not want to talk with her girlfriend on this topic at all. It turns out that he just didn't appreciate her. Henry made such conclusions for himself. You just don't deserve. If you can't appreciate a girl like that, how are you not understanding it at all? If I were in his place, I would not miss my chance. Gabriella looked closely at Henry, and then kissed. By a couple of days after that, Henry offered Gabriella try to date. So their relationship began. Young people went to university, they lived separately. But as soon as the university was finished, Henry immediately found a job and rented a small apartment for two. For that time he grew up in his mother's eyes. She no longer considered him small. Parents, then they could help those. Gabriella was liked by Henry's parents, so they have long insisted on the wedding. Henry somehow did not dare to take this serious step, he kept putting it off. But one day, when he was talking to his friend, understood one important thing, namely, it's better not to delay this matter. This was his university friend, who somehow invited him to visit. He told such a story, what Henry immediately decided to take this serious step. Henry, I miss her so much, his friend said. So where is your Claudia? Not understanding what happened to you. You met not too long ago. Maybe that was my mistake, I should have proposed to her at university. I just got tired of waiting for this serious step from me and found myself another. They say they are getting married soon, although not so rare. You seriously, she left you and is getting married? Henry was surprised. Well, yes, no. But I knew, certainly, that she wanted to get married, but I didn't think that bulged the eyes of an old friend so much. Well, don't worry, what is not done for the better. You are easy to talk to, your Zerka lives with you, and I'm left alone. Late, literally just a little. I already decided, it's time to get married, and bought a ring. I imagine such a picture, come home, and here the suitcases are already packed, telling me that I love another. Yes, already, entertaining story, Henry sighed heavily. After Henry left a friend, he understood, what Gabriella, you won't wait forever either. They have been dating for 5 years. Young man went to a jewelry store and bought a beautiful ring, to propose to your lover. All the road he thought about, not to happen the same, like his friend, to come home now, and there were no suitcases. Entering the apartment, he looked carefully. Everything was in place, and that calmed him down a bit. Gabriella lay on the couch with headphones and didn't even hear that he came. Gabriella, I'm home. Gabriella did not answer, she kept kicking to the beat. Gabriella thought, I didn't even hear. What did you come? Said Gabriella, jumping up from the couch. You will eat hungry, wait with your food. I have long wanted to tell you, but somehow it didn't work out. You know that I can't speak. I have a beautiful phrase, yes, tell me already, what's wrong with you? Well, briefly speaking, do you always want to live with me? Something I did not understand? We are the same, and so it seems we live with you together. Gabriella laughed. But how can I say it now? Wait a second. Henry ran to the kitchen, where he drank a glass of water and returned to the room again. Gabriella, you will be my wife. Henry started rummaging in his pocket and pulled out a ring. Wife. He saw how the face had changed. Gabriella. Will be. In Gabriella's eyes, there were tears. She got Henry and kissed. So young people began to prepare for the wedding. Henry worked even harder to earn money. Gabriella handled wedding chores. Certainly, the girl also worked, but she did not agree to take additional shifts for the sake of the wedding, therefore, all financial issues lay only with Henry. Honestly speaking, Henry was against Gabriella working hard. He thought that a girl should earn less than men and much more. For Henry it was the happiest evening. Parents Henry were very happy with this news, also began to collect money, so that he does not have to work alone without days off, even though he didn't want to take money from them. The wedding was exactly a month away. Gabriella prepared almost everything. She found a restaurant and found Ada there. I only bought wedding suits and some little things. One day, when young people lay on the couch in front of the TV, Henry noticed that his girlfriend put the phone away when she had to communicate. He was a little confused, and he decided to ask, "Who am I to write, Gabriella? You have some secrets from me." "Well, what are you writing about your girlfriend? Maybe you're not interested in hearing. When was the last time she had a palace man?" Gabriella laughed. "Certainly not interested, but if your girlfriend writes to you, why hide your phone like that?" "Yes, don't hide his phone, it just happened." Cold drove? Henry pretended that didn't notice anything, but in fact out of the corner of his eye he saw, "What writes there is far from a girlfriend, there was some new number." After the young people went to bed, and at night, when Henry got up to go to the toilet, he saw that the girl put her phone under the pillow, even though she's never done this before. This stressed him out even more. Man wanted to see who his girlfriend was texting so much, but he didn't get anything. On the work desk, Henry stood next to the desk of the main talker of the office. She talked to someone on the phone and stubbornly argued, "What does she need to get back to her ex? A lot, walking, and that's enough. They are made for each other and should be together." Henry did not quite like the conversation. He immediately remembered the former Gabriella, Pedro. To him it always seemed that the girl wanted to go back to him or denied it forever. But Henry, I wasn't 100% sure of myself. To the young man it always seemed that Pedro was much better than him, richer and smarter than the ultimate. Tried drive away these thoughts, but they still sat. Where deep? Was it's embarrassing to think about, but it worked out. Not long after thinking, Henry took a work phone and wrote a message to his girlfriend. Sent the messages on behalf of the former Gabriella. "Today, meet me in the park. 6 p.m. I miss you so, your Pedro." "What Gabriella say?" shocked Henry. "Fine, I'll be right at 6, I miss you too." Henry didn't want to believe my eyes, but he just read that his beloved Gabriella still misses her ex. This young man decided not to stop, and by 6 o'clock he drove up to the park, began to observe the actions of his girlfriend. Gabriella came by taxi. She was so beautiful, on high heels, because of she never dressed like that. Man hoped to the last that she won't come, but he was wrong. Around half an hour he looked at her, how she waits Pedro, and looked around. After he drove up to her, opened the door and said, "Sit down, let's go home." "Henry, how did you get here? How did you get here? I have a meeting with a friend here." "Your girlfriend by chance?" Pedro name is Henry. "What a jealous scene, time tired of your lies. Sit down and let's go home, I know everything." Young woman got into the car, and all the way they were silent. Only house Henry told about, that he texted her from a work phone. She answered. Young woman understood and was very offended by the groom. "Yes, how could you with me how enroll that it doesn't even bother you, that you still miss your ex?" Henry shouted. "Yes, I don't miss anyone, just wanted to see and tell him everything. What do you think of him?" "But why do you lie to me?" "Give me your phone." "But no more, every person should have their own space." Henry pulled Gabriella's phone out of hand and entered the message. To him it took a few minutes to understand that a girl is cheating on him with an ex. In messages were racy photos and talked about the future. Get out of my apartment. From life." "I got out too," Henry shouted. Gabriella smiled and definitely grabbed the suitcase, which was in the closet. "Strange, but it already has everything you need." She put a few things in there, who were lying on a chair. "Well, and stay alone." Still a voice, nothing succeeded. "We are completely different people." "I think that you love me, and you lied to me," shouted Henry on a girl. "I never loved you at all." "That who loves you, this is Maria. I think she's drooling over you now, so run to." "Brother, yes, she seems to have moved to another country." Gabriella slammed the door loudly and left. In window Henry saw how she got in the car Pedro, and they left. All dreams and plans collapsed in 1 second. Life Henry just stopped. If you might think, what Gabriella, it seems like that on my heart hurt unbearably. First in life Henry, I went to a bar and got drunk. He wanted to heal this emotional wound, but he didn't get anything. Now he just went to work and home like a robot. Maybe, deep down, he still hoped that Gabriella would return, ask for forgiveness, and they would start over. Every time, logging into a social network, he saw happy photos of Gabriella. "We're bringing it down." "How could you be so wrong?" said Pedro, looking at pictures of Gabriella on the monitor. Parents Henry were completely shocked. What did their failed daughter-in-law do? Mother and Dad tried in every possible way to calm Henry, even began to come to visit him often. They saw that the son was in the deepest depression. Gone 4 years after, how did Gabriella leave? Henry sitting in the park. On the street was a golden autumn. Everything was also a misfortune, hoping that the girl would return. Memories of that wonderful life appeared in my head, when they lived with Gabriella. He still misses her. Henry I remembered happy eyes, when he proposed to her. In that moment she jumped like a little child for joy, and he, like a real man, humbly stood, trying not to show, which is also happy, how it really is. In that moment he wanted to scream with joy. How did he love her? He sat on a bench and watched. How do kids run? "Allow I will sit with you," said a female voice. "Yes, certainly, sit down," said Henry and turned around. Before Maria stood by him, the same, who loved him at the institute. "Maybe not. Here is this meeting." She cried happily. "Maria's then you have changed, became some kind of beauty." "Want to say that I used to be terrible?" Maria asked seriously, but seeing the reaction of Henry, laughed sharply. "Maria, I didn't expect to see you here. So many years have passed." "Yes, I'm back in this city again." Why did you come back?" "I same heard that you went to another country." "In that case, I got married and had a son. One, see, green blouse runs," Maria pointed to a little boy. "But I just crashed and somehow could not get along under one roof." "Well, wow, Maria, it really has changed. How do you live? I heard you broke up and Paradise broke up before the wedding." She, turns out, still loved Pedro, and just hung noodles on my ears. I really loved her, Henry sighed heavily. "Urka, not a bit has changed, listening. Let's someday get together as a group, let's sit down, like before, let's chat." "Good idea, I've forgotten lately, what is normal rest?" Maria kept her promise and got the whole group together. There Henry felt comfortable, he even had fun sometimes, that rare over the past 4 years. Almost all classmates went to this party. Everyone has changed so much. Someone got very fat, and someone else hiked. Many of my classmates achieved great success in that particular profession, for which they studied. Henry understood how bored he was. He really missed these nightly conversations about life. Girls, who were once humble, now dance on the counter, while their children are sleeping at home. Atmosphere was bewitching, as if so many years had passed, but for some reason everyone got a little old. Whole evening Henry danced with Maria. Turns out, they have so much in common, he even likes music, what to her, and they have a common outlook on life. Henry looked at her and did not understand how he could miss such a girl in his youth. He was truly sorry, because he remembered very well how she loved him, and he did not reciprocate. "I'm sleeping when they begin to develop a relationship." Henry saw in her an interesting woman. Strange, because he didn't notice it before. He often came to visit her and played with her son. They quickly found a common language. With time Henry felt something, what Maria he likes. In this time he did not do such a stupid thing and proposed to her a year after, how they started dating. Now they are a real family, and Henry very happy about it. By the way, not so long ago Gabriella tried to return to Henry, because Pedro dumped her again, but only this time Henry refused. She sent him messages asking him to meet. Man, it was very interesting, what does she want from him, so he agreed. She came in heels, as if she wanted to surprise him. He looked at her carefully and did not understand what she needed. "Henry, I want to start over," realizing that he is very offended by me, but give me a chance. No, sorry, I love another woman. She appreciates me unlike you. I am very sorry that I spent so much time and effort on you. Just lost time. You know, because people don't change, and I think you should try the parts elsewhere. Henry didn't even sit down at the table, he just told her everything and left. And she saw the window. How does he get in the car, in which the North woman with child? He kissed her, hugged the baby, and they left. To this woman she recognized an old friend. Gabriella sat in Cafe 1 and cried. She couldn't even think what Henry found a replacement, and who did he replace her with? Her old friend, whom he did not love before, and now that she did not understand at all, what happened Henry, where did his love go, about which he shouted so? Gabriella drank wine and returned. Empty apartment, where one lived for a long time, alone with your loneliness.